Imagine surviving a record-breaking heat wave, not with an expensive air conditioner, but with a homemade cooler that costs less than your daily cup of coffee. Sound too good to be true? That's exactly what caught my attention when I first stumbled across the idea of a $10 DIY cooler. I mean, honestly, in this age where everything seems to cost more and real solutions either break your wallet or disappoint you, a basic ice cooler that anyone can build with one trip to the hardware store is a rare find. Think about it. We've all seen those endless summer advertisements for powerful cooling gadgets, each one promising Arctic air for your living room. Yet most either underdeliver, overheat, or suck down electricity faster than you can say utility bill. So I decided to put it to the test and see if a simple homemade contraption could really beat the heat and maybe teach us something about how cooling, economics, and a bit of old-fashioned ingenuity intersect without leaving ice water running down my living room wall. Before we go deeper, if you like finding out what really works and what doesn't in the world of money and everyday life, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, we're just getting started, and there are lots more surprising finds coming your way. So let me set the scene. It's late July, and the news can't stop talking about the spike in summer temperatures, with highs breaking records across the country. I live in an older apartment, the kind that has historic charm but no modern insulation. It's the kind of place where, if you want AC, you're running a clunky window unit all day and all night, while your electric meter spins like a hamster on caffeine. Now, I'm someone who likes a challenge, and when my last bill arrived, I nearly needed a second fan just to cool off from the shock. That's when I started hunting for hacks that actually work. Was there a way to cool down my space without selling a kidney or running up a bill that's higher than my rent? Like most people, I was skeptical. I'd seen the videos about DIY coolers before. A foam box here, a plastic tub there, maybe an old fan strapped somewhere for good measure. But the claims always seemed a little over the top. Could a cheap box of parts from the dollar store really make a difference? What's the science? And just how far can $10 really go in a world where even a bottle of water feels overpriced sometimes? That's what I wanted to find out. Not just if it kinda worked, but if it could actually give relief from the heat, and whether the economics made sense compared to traditional cooling. Here's how it all started. Armed with my phone, a notepad, and a budget that would barely get me a sandwich, I mapped out a plan. The classic DIY air cooler, as it's usually called, is one you've probably seen online. The basic idea is to take a small foam cooler. Yes, the kind you'd usually fill with sodas for a picnic. Then you cut out 2 round holes in the lid. Into one you fit a standard, cheap desk fan. In the other, some people put a plastic elbow pipe or just leave it open for the air to escape. Inside, you load it up with ice, maybe freeze a few water bottles if you want to reuse them instead of buying bagged ice. The fan blows air over the ice, which supposedly cools the air, and this cooler air gets pushed out the opening into your room. Simple, right? But would it actually make a dent in a real heat wave or just turn my room into a damp cave? I found the local discount store near my apartment and picked up a small foam cooler for $5. That plus a $4 mini desktop fan ate up nearly my whole budget. I had some plastic tubing left over from an old DIY project and found a couple of empty water bottles in my recycling bin. Total spent? $9. Not bad. There's something quietly satisfying about digging through your old junk and using it for something clever, especially when money is tight. At this point, I was invested, not just financially, but out of sheer curiosity. Would this little box of tricks actually do something the power-hungry air conditioner above my window can't? As I put it all together, I could almost hear my father's voice in the back of my head, reminding me how he used to fix things growing up. Work with what you've got, he'd say, and in today's economy, that advice seems more relevant than ever. I cut 2 holes into the lid, surprisingly easy, then snapped the fan snugly into one, the plastic elbow pipe into the other. I loaded up the inside with ice from the freezer. The setup looked unassuming, almost laughable, next to the modern cooling gadgets that fill Instagram ads these days. But sometimes the simplest solutions are the best. I plugged in the fan, placed the cooler in the corner of my room, pointed the output pipe toward my desk, and waited. Almost immediately, I noticed a difference. Air blowing much cooler than before. My room isn't huge, so I started taking notes, checking the temperature every 10 minutes. The number surprised me. Without the air conditioner running, the temperature at my desk dropped noticeably. Was it magic? Of course not. Was it efficient? More than I expected. There's a real lesson buried in that chilly air. Sometimes practical solutions don't look pretty or cost a fortune. They just work. That first hour with the DIY cooler was a mix of skepticism and genuine curiosity. I kept thinking, was this just the new gadget glow? The effect where anything feels special and exciting the first time you try it? Would it work for a whole evening? What sort of savings could actually add up if a bunch of people made these instead of cranking their ACs at full blast? What really stuck in my mind was not just the cool breeze itself, but what it represented. Here was something that anyone with a few dollars in 10 minutes could build. No engineering degree required, no impossible instructions, Just a simple fix for a common problem. In a world where so much feels out of our control, a little control over the summer heat feels pretty good. But would it still be enough as the night wore on and the outside temperatures refused to let up? That's where things started to get interesting. The cooler had made a surprisingly strong first impression. I'll admit I was almost waiting for it to fail me as the evening hours rolled on, especially as the sun dipped lower and the outside heat refused to budge. After all, science can't work magic. Any cooling system that relies on ice is eventually going to run out. But what stood out was not just the immediate effect, but how that effect seemed to stick around longer than I expected. Every 10 minutes, I checked the thermometer on my desk. Yes, an old analog kind, not some fancy digital readout, and jot down a note. Over the first hour, the temperature in my cool zone dropped by nearly 6 degrees. I'm not claiming this would chill a whole house or rival a heavy-duty air conditioner, but for a small space, especially if you're working from home or trying to sleep, 6 degrees felt substantial. Around that point, I found myself looking a bit deeper. Why did this basic setup seem to outperform my expectations? And why exactly do we never see these ideas take off on a wider scale? To answer that, I had to go back to basics: ice, air, and the economics of home cooling. When you think about it, an air conditioner does a lot. It not only cools down air, but usually dehumidifies and keeps a whole room comfortable for hours on end. But it can also be a massive drain on household budgets, especially with constant use in the peak of summer. The DIY cooler is different. It's almost humble in its ambitions. Instead of lowering the humidity or cooling an entire multi-room apartment, it simply focuses on making a small personal space more comfortable, using the basic principle of heat exchange as air blows over ice. As I sat at my desk, cool air working its way over my arms, I began to notice not just the temperature drop, but how it changed the feeling of the whole room. It created a small oasis, a little pocket of cool in the middle of a larger, warm space. This revealed an important lesson often ignored by companies pushing expensive gadgets. Sometimes, just enough is exactly what we need, especially when budgets are tight. Not everyone wants or needs to cool an entire house. Sometimes, you just need to not sweat through your shirt at work or toss and turn all night. With that in mind, the economics began making more sense. Let's break it down for a minute. The average American household spends about 12% of its electricity bill on air conditioning, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. That number spikes in the summer months in warmer regions. The humble DIY cooler, using a small fan and a few frozen bottles, consumes the tiniest fraction of that. Of course, you are paying for ice, either up front or on your own by running your freezer. But overall, the energy usage is minimal. Dollar for dollar, it's not a solution for every situation. It's not going to rescue you in a crowded living room during a 4th of July party. But for anyone pinching pennies or living paycheck to paycheck, especially students, renters, or people in older buildings, it's an appealing option. As the evening rolled on and I watched the ice slowly melt, condensation building up inside the foam walls, I realized there was a second layer to this experiment. How little we really need to feel more comfortable, and how clever, accessible hacks like this one challenge our expectations of value. There was a kind of satisfaction that came from seeing this little project work, not technological wonder, but genuine appreciation for making do with what's available. For me, it felt like a small rebellion against the culture of buying our way out of discomfort. Here was a little homespun innovation. No Wi-Fi, no app to download, no endless upgrades, just a project put together in an hour, quietly going about its one simple mission. Now, don't think there weren't challenges or things I'd do differently. For one, as the ice melted and the air got more humid, I noticed the cooling effect became a little less crisp. The reality is, like anything, the DIY approach has its trade-offs. The room wasn't freezing cold, and after about 2 hours, the ice was nearly gone and the cool breeze just became a breeze. But it highlighted something crucial. For short-term relief, especially at the hottest part of the day or when trying to drift off to sleep, it's hard to beat the sheer value of a $10 investment in a spare hour. Sure, you'll need to swap out the ice or refreeze water bottles if you want to keep it going, but compared to the hum of a full-sized AC and the guilt that comes with knowing your next bill will be a whopper, it just felt lighter, mentally and financially. As I sat there, I started thinking about all the people, even outside my little apartment, who might actually benefit from something so simple. Populations in areas prone to blackouts, for example, or people in developing regions where electricity is precious or unreliable. Even in first world cities, there are always those who don't have access to safe, cool spaces or can't afford to run AC in the worst of the summer months. How many times have you seen official cooling centers open up in the city during a heat wave? People lined up for dozens of blocks just for a blast of cold air. It made me wonder why we don't see more low-cost, low-tech solutions like this promoted by local governments, especially as climate patterns become increasingly unpredictable. But there's a cultural element at play here too. In our high-tech world, homemade space often carries a hint of makeshift. We've been conditioned to believe that the more expensive, complicated, and digital something is, the better it has to work. The $10 DIY cooler smashes through that narrative. Sometimes, genuinely effective tools come in unglamorous, practical packages. It's also a reminder of something economic theory often points out, but people tend to forget. Ingenuity usually thrives when resources are tight and necessity is high. The most fascinating thing to me, though, was how easily a solution like this could be scaled, if not to replace air conditioning everywhere, then at least to help during peak months, provide relief in emergencies, or even just supplement the need for more expensive and energy-draining methods. Cooling a whole household is expensive for a reason. It's a huge task requiring a large investment of energy. But cooling the air just where you need it? Now that's an old idea that deserves new attention. Image prompt. Illustration of a whole house, shaded blue, expensive to cool, contrasted with one room. What began as a simple experiment turned out to be a little window into something bigger. A story not just about beating the heat, but about challenging our everyday assumptions as consumers, and about how in times of pressure, economic, environmental, or just plain weather, smart, small solutions often have the biggest payoff. And as the last bit of cold air drifted from my little DIY cooler, I realized the real test wasn't about gallons of melted ice or saving $10. It was about whether a homemade project could change the way we look at comfort, savings, and good old-fashioned problem solving. There was still one more question on my mind, though, one that would only be answered by the next day, when I woke up and faced another round of summer sun, foam cooler at the ready. When sunrise crept through the blinds the next morning, I could actually feel the warmth pressing in again. Still, armed with my trusty $10 DIY cooler, I was ready to see if there was any lasting effect, or if my little homemade gadget was just a one-shot wonder. There was one nearly solid conclusion from the night before. It wouldn't last forever without fresh ice, but there was also a subtler, almost surprising change in how I approached the summer's challenge. Instead of dreading another day of stuffiness, I felt like I had a small tool in my corner, a way to push back just enough when the sun was doing its worst. Here's what surprised me. Even as the ice from the night before had fully melted, the inside of the foam cooler was still cooler than the room itself for a while. I swapped out the water bottles for new frozen ones, quick and easy if you plan ahead, and flipped the fan back on. Once again, within minutes, I felt that envelope of chilly air wafting my way, just enough to keep my little workspace bearable. The biggest advantage, it turned out, wasn't about blasting away the heat for hours on end or replacing an air conditioner altogether. It was about making strategic, focused comfort affordable and repeatable day after day, even as electric rates tick upward and the mercury never seems to drop. The truth is, this $10 DIY cooler isn't a life changer in the epic sense, but it is a game changer for anyone who's tired of sweating through another power bill or sleeping on damp sheets. This experience also raised a much bigger point, one that goes well beyond the mechanics of homemade cooling devices. It got me thinking about what really drives value in an economy and how much of our comfort actually depends on expensive products versus affordable, clever workarounds. In the history of economic innovation, the biggest step changes often haven't come from huge corporate inventions, but from small, user-driven tricks that show people there's another way. Just look at how people insulated their homes during energy crises in previous decades, or how urban communities have come together during brownouts to share fans, ice, or shaded spaces. Each time, it's the practical hacks, often born from necessity, that make the most lasting difference. Reflecting on my week-long test, I realized just how much marketing and psychology steer us toward certain solutions. A glossy, high-powered AC ad plays directly into our instinct for quick comfort. But when you take a step back, you see that most problems, cooling included, can be approached in layers. The first and cheapest layer is just avoiding heat. Draw the shades, shut doors, hang a wet towel in a breeze. The next layer, for many, can now be this humble cooler. Build it when you need it, keep it by your desk, and only worry about running your freezer for ice, which most households do anyway. For the times when temperatures or humidity get brutal, sure, flip on the bigger systems for targeted relief. But for dozens of hot days and nights each year, a $10 hack is more than enough. There's something oddly empowering about knowing you're in control of your comfort. Not because of a big investment, but because of a simple, repeatable hack that anyone can make. That empowerment, multiplied across millions of people, can change energy demand in subtle but important ways. Just think, if even a fraction of households in hotter states like Texas, Arizona, or Florida built these and cut their AC time by a couple hours a day, the impact on electric grids would be real. Those aren't just savings in your pocket. That's energy available for hospitals, critical infrastructure, and communities under strain during heat waves. Most families don't need to wait for Silicon Valley to give them a smart fix. They can make one in half an hour with stuff from the dollar store and a roll of duct tape. Beyond the math and machinery, though, this little project reminded me that boring economics can be full of small victories. And sometimes the best stories aren't just about dollars and cents, but about creative power in our daily lives. When you build something yourself, even a little foam box with a fan, it reshapes your relationship with your environment. Suddenly, you're the innovator. You're the one calling the shots, not just passively consuming whatever the market tosses your way. I kept wondering how we might carry that idea further. What if classrooms use this to teach kids about thermodynamics and budgeting at the same time? Imagine a community group running a cooler build event in a heat wave. How many people could get even a few hours relief, staying safer and happier while getting hands-on with basic tools? For the millions living in small apartments or mobile homes or dealing with unreliable power, this isn't just a summer party trick. It's a meaningful solution. Of course, the $10 cooler's impact depends on our willingness to try simple things and to rethink what enough really means in our modern lives. We're trained to want the absolute best, the best reviewed, the best marketed, the ones with smartphone apps and sensors galore. But sometimes the bare minimum is exactly what we need. In a world facing rising temperatures and climbing costs, we do well to bring a little more humility and ingenuity to our comfort challenges. So as I put away my tools, gave the cooler one last cleanup and marked my notes for the week, I realized my experiment was less about surviving one hot spell and more about proving a point. You don't need to spend a fortune or wait for next year's revolutionary gadget to get real functional relief. Sometimes you just need $10, a pinch of curiosity, and the willingness to try. Now, I want to know something from you. What's the simplest, most effective DIY project you've ever tried to save money or boost comfort at home? Maybe it was a weather stripping hack, blackout curtains, a clever way to insulate a window, or yes, even your own cooling creation. Share your experience and any unexpected results in the comments. And if you found any part of this story useful, memorable, or worth a laugh, hit that share button so others can see that sometimes the best fixes are the ones you make yourself. Let's face it, the more we talk about honest, budget-friendly solutions, the better we all get at living smarter, not just harder. Thanks for sticking with me through the experiment. Now go find your own hack and stay cool out there.